Hey ladies, today I want to talk about something that I think is a concern or should be a concern for all of us as a preventive mechanism or as a preventive topic to discuss. And that is, I don't think my speaker is on. It's not. Give me a second. That's this traction alopecia thing. I know a few women that are having problems with thinning around here and in other areas, but predominantly around the tops of their heads. And I saw a video today on some serious, like severe traction alopecia. And I know that the other alopecia, I forget the name of it, I think it starts with an A, is they claim doesn't have a cure. I don't believe that. Everything has a cure, FYI. But traction alopecia can definitely be avoided. And it got me to thinking because we kind of are always breakdown maintenance oriented, right? We don't deal with problems until they actually descend upon us. And usually by that time it's too late. I look at my hair. For all practical purposes, my hair seems really thick around here. But it's not. There's been a difference between the thickness of my hair here and here all of my life. So it doesn't constitute or doesn't mean that anything is going on with my hair. But it got me to thinking, and I said, you know what? Trauma is trauma. Each time we style the hair experiences some kind of trauma, right? And so I said, you know what? Traction alopecia is cumulative trauma over a period of time that eventually manifests as something dramatic. But every coming event casts a shadow, right? Anything that comes into full revelation first started on a much smaller, more subtle level. And so I thought to myself, you know what? There's some very basic things that I can do other than pulling on this front part of my hair like I do. I started to think about my retightenings because you know that I have experienced two different locticians, and each one of them has a different way of doing my hair, obviously. And there's a way that my hair and scalp feel differently depending upon which one of them I go to. And I said to myself, you know, most of the time before you go, you make sure it's untangled. You've done your due diligence. You've pulled the base apart to make sure the grid is okay. You know, I do a little something. I don't just go there and expect them to do everything. But I noticed that when it comes around to the front part of my hair, I find myself doing like this sometimes. And I find myself feeling like there's a need for them to, or there's a need for her to be a little more gentle with the front part of my hair, because while their hands are involved in the process, they don't have the nerve endings to feel what's happening around your head the way you do. And when you consider that this is a very vulnerable part of your scalp and they're coming in every 2 to 3 months and they're tightening this area and they're pulling that hair strand through your base, creating friction, there's some mild trauma that's going on there. And it's worth you really taking that seriously. And I think subconsciously that's why, I know for sure that little tiny one I had up here that I was trying to grow on my own for some time, you know, it was an extra one that just came up out of nowhere because of some excess hair and I was trying to grow it. I know that I would always tighten this one up before my sessions, like within the last few years, because I was more gentle. And so as I started to think about that today, I said, you know what, Tanisha? Either you're going to spend more time tightening these ones up around here on your own, or you're going to communicate your concern to your loctician, and you're going to tell her that when she gets to the front, you need her to really allow an additional 15 minutes or so, even if it means you have to pay for it, because you need for this area to be done at a slower pace. You need to make sure that there's no snapping and there's as little friction as possible, because I don't care what anybody says, ladies, that repeated friction and pulling that hair through a part of your hair that's already vulnerable and not as strong and reinforced with volume as the rest of your hair cannot be a good thing over time. And you don't have to wait 5 or 10 years to realize that there was something that maybe you could have done. So this is very, very serious. So my point, the point that I'm making by doing this video is to tell you for sure, even if you're not prepping your hair before you see your loctician, prep the front. Make sure the front is as tangle free as possible. Put some jojoba oil around the crown of your head to make sure that it's smoother. Make sure your grid is straight around the front, and tell your loctician consultant to slow down around the front part of your hair. It's critical. You do not need to wait until you're in breakdown mode to realize that you need to salvage this. I have a friend, and I've seen her hair inch back further and further and further, and now it's about here where she has no hair. She has alopecia, and she wears a band around her head. And I just wonder, because these are still receiving stress and they're close to the areas where there is no hair, is there something that she should be advised to do in terms of retightening her locks, or should her locks just get a break altogether until her hair is stronger? So you sometimes, ladies, have to make these decisions. It's no different than going to the doctor and being your own advocate. People are put in a place of service to service you, but nobody has your interest at heart the way you do. And as long as you're paying for a service, you have to be assertive, and you have to have your interests at the forefront, and you have to be willing to ask for whatever it is you need in order to make your journey less problematic. So consider what I'm saying. Don't take for granted that because you don't see hair loss now that you'll never have hair loss, or because nobody in your family has it that you won't have it. Trust me, trauma is trauma, and repeated trauma over time has a problem. It creates a problem. You saw Muhammad Ali. He didn't get, was it Parkinson's or Hodgkin's? Parkinson's, I think. He didn't get that from the first fight. It took many, many years for him to get to a point where he was no longer the Muhammad Ali that we know. So take preventive measures. Let me know what you think about what I'm saying. And let me know when you had that conversation with your loctician if it makes a difference. Because some people are very gentle anyway. But let's face it, if you have 600, 700, 300, 400, 500 of these things to do, and you're trying to move through it, you're raking through the hair. And that's going to have a consequence when you combine that with what you're already doing to your hair. Ladies, you're with Tanisha Ali. Please subscribe, share, comment, engage me. Thank you so much. I love you for all of your shares, your comments, and your subscribing. Have a beautiful day. I release you in love and light.